Previously on One Tree Hill.
Greetings, starfighters! Welcome to Mad Science Films. I'm James Plumb, filmmaker, sexual astronaut, and this week I am joined by a very special guest, the director of such shorts as Portraits, The Pit, Santa Baby, and now feature film Wyvern Hill, aka Hollow, Mr. Jonathan Zaurin. How long did the edit take?
It took we finished in September, so about 7 months. No, not a slow turnaround.
Okay, and you were sole editor on the project?
Yeah.
Okay, and were you editing pretty much on commercial kit or professional kit? What were you?
Yeah, on my Mac. Which I hate with Premiere because it's just so infuriating, you know. But yeah, I managed to do it on that in 4K, which it's a powerful computer, to be fair. We planned, but yeah, no, I essentially the way I did it is then I ended up sectioning the film in 4 parts, because what you figure out is after a while your project becomes so heavy that Premiere can't cope with any of it, and it just starts crashing randomly all the time. So you end up essentially having to split your film in sections, which isn't a bad way of doing it. It makes it a bit more difficult to get the overall film, but yeah, that's not an issue.
Because you're on DP, were you also grading and color correcting the film all yourself?
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. So effectively, it's similar to what like a lot of comic book artists say as well, is you were completely responsible for everything from, you know, the shot on the day to what it looks like when it was projected up on screen as much as possible, which is fantastic, you know, in terms of if you're working. I mean, what we do is, you know, like I tend to work with Jim, who's the DP, but I also, you know, ask that he acts, you know, he does grading, color correcting, so he's responsible for everything. So, you know, if he's making a decision on the day on the shoot, he knows he's going to have to deal with that in post. So it, you know, for you, you're all you're all of those roles in one. And was there anything that you found in the grade where you're like, okay, I've learned a lesson grading this film, which will like influence the way I shoot in future?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, firstly, you know, just to answer to what you were previously talking, the good thing with that is it's my film entirely, 100%. If you love it, it's on me. If you hate it, it's on me. There's nobody else to blame, and that's both a great situation to be in and quite a very uncomfortable situation to be in, especially if, as previously mentioned, you're your worst critic. One of the things that I learned the hard way is that although Blackmagic you know, says that dual ISO is noiseless, when you get into the higher ISOs, it is not noiseless at all. You know, and really show on the screen, but once you start grading it, you get quite a lot of noise. Luckily, we shot the whole thing in 4K. So when you shoot in 4K and then you clean up to export in 1080, you don't lose too much sharpness, which is good, because there were some shots that I thought, oh my god, what am I going to do with that? Because you know, you're trying to create an atmosphere, so you're shooting in low lights, and the way that I worked on light as well is I worked with a lot of color lights, and so the camera, until you've done it, you don't know exactly how it's going to react to what gel sometimes, because obviously I'm not going to go into technical way of how the sensors work, but it captures certain colors differently from other colors. So you figure that out as you do it, and you have to have a reference monitor, obviously. But even with a really good reference monitor and knowing how to read the graphs, sometimes you're going to end up with noise and stuff that you don't want in your image. Luckily, I fixed like maybe 99% of it. There's maybe a small percentage where I can still see it, but nobody's noticed. So
you edited the sound and you sound designed, yeah. So, and you're working with, in terms of the score, a guy that you've worked with previously on shorts as well.
Yeah.
but then you had somebody else involved for the sound mix. So how did you find, really, like, in terms of the score and your sound design interacting? Was it a lot of give and take, and like different, almost like like cuts and mixes of the sound, or was there something where you were like, okay, I'm going to defer to the score for the most part?
Well, so what was interesting working with Michael Sanchez is we worked together on like two short films prior, so we knew how we worked together.
So which dude did you work with before Portrait?
So before that, I worked with Thomas Capo, and I worked with Sierra on Dirt as well, they were both great. But we've got something with Michael where we sort of really understand each other and how we work. And what was great that Michael did is he basically composed a pre-score that I could edit to. So I would edit to music that he started composing while reading the script. Then I'd send him the scenes and it starts working on making the score fit to the images. And we had Christophe Mavoudis as well to working the score so that it would also feel organic, in the sense that what we wanted was for the score to really tell the story as well and be part of the story. So bits of score that turn up in scenes in the first act and then take on something more in the last act and fit some characters and so that the scores would work together. The little themes that he composed for each character would sort of come together and create a whole that would make sense for how the story is told. And there's so much information that comes through in the score and that film. It's and I said that at the premiere, didn't I? I said, I don't know if you're going to like this film or not, but one thing that I know is you're all going to love the music.
Yeah.
And he's done such an incredible job. I think there's times where I think he literally saved that film. Like another score on that film would not. I can't imagine it. I can't hear it. It's a part of it.
So when you were then working in terms of a sound mix, you had a guy doing the sound mix, mixing all of these elements together. Was it important for you to work with a guy who had worked on, like, say, features which had gotten distribution, or was it really just somebody that you knew and you trusted? That
I mean, all it is you have to abide by industry standard, because you can't have a feature distributed worldwide by somebody serious and not go through a quality check. And part of that quality check will be, what are the sound levels like? And it's not just the peak level, it's also the difference between the quietest and the loudest moment in your film and the time in which that takes place. It's a case of if you've got complete silence and then all of a sudden your sound it's -3, you might have a problem. And so it was a case of what I wanted was someone who could do that. That was the first thing, and Ryan was able to do that. But the other thing I wanted from Ryan was bring a little bit of like flair as well, and he did on a few moments where he added things and he started playing with the sound a little bit that created just that little extra. That's where detail is important, is when you reach post-production. That's where you have to go for the detail. It's tiny things like working on surround sound. We made sure that Ben's voice, whenever he's talking, is on all the channels. Same for Keith. And little things like that. Slowing the music down in places and making it go, rather than a fade, making it bullet time almost outside of the scene. And it was little things that I wanted from Ryan. I think I've got that sort of that expectation from everyone on a shoot, is that I want people to bring something. It's not, if you're just going to do what I say, that's fine, but I like people who will bring their own thing to the table as well.
I mean, you hope so, because it's a creative medium. You're hoping everybody else is also creative and wants to bring their own creative influence to it under your leadership.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where you get your best stuff, right? When we did Santa Baby, Ben, who's a creative genius, Ben Arrington, we did all our special effects. He is a mad scientist, literally. He's got that workshop and he does all these things. And when we did Santa Baby, he decided to do a little jacket made of human flesh with boobs, right? That was not in the script. And I looked at it, I went, Ben, why are you doing? He said, well, I thought it would be cool in the background or something. I was like, no, not in the background, but I'm going to rewrite the scene just so we can put that in because it's so great.
Yeah.
And when people see Santa Baby, that's the one scene that they always go, oh, that was great. Yeah.
That bit's quite special.
You have to let people be creative. Oh, first of all, it's always boring for everybody, you're working on a project where nobody gets paid. That is the point. If you're not going to be creative, what is the point of that? You gotta let people be creative.
From your first cut to your final cut, what was the length of the film?
We had a first cut that was at 1 hour 52. That was the first cut where I was already being savage, right? There's scenes I didn't even edit because I saw the way the film was working, and I was like, I'm not even gonna bother editing that. It's not gonna do anything for the film. And we're at 1 hour 52 without the credits, the end credits. And so I thought, it needs to go down a bit, and we took it down to 1 hour 48 with the credits, just by cutting little bits, lines, beats. Where you shorten the beats so they're a bit more efficient. Funnily enough, at 1 hour 48, people still think it's too long in places, which is fine. You can't control how people are going to feel about the film at any point, and that's fine. But I don't see a film being 1 hour 48 being too long at all. I think people are way too used to the 1 hour 20 minute format of most indie films. But the reason indie people make 1 hour and 20 minute films is because it's cheaper in every way, right? Including in the delivery, because you've got to pay per minute for everything. Right, so you want subtitles, you got to pay per minute. You want quality check, you got to pay per minute. You want copyright check, you got to pay per minute. So everything's per minute, So it's not a question of pace most of the time.
In terms of what got cut, then it was mostly for pacing, or there were certain scenes that ended up being redundant. Is that really? Any scenes that ended up getting cut because you just couldn't get what you wanted, or that wasn't a factor?
No.
There's a big block that got cut out, and it was between the scene where she figures out that there's something going on in the house, and she goes to the pub to tell her family, and there was a whole chunk there where then it was about her and her daughter and how they connected together and how they get through this together, and it was quite emotional, and they talk about their dad, and then they go back to the house and the piece of glass is gone. So is it in her mind again? And then they have she has a chat with her husband saying, oh, well, my mom. And he goes, oh, yeah, but and he's playing video games. And I thought, you know what? All these scenes are lovely and they're beautifully acted. But once she figured out there's something wrong with the house, there's nowhere to go. You just gotta open the doors to the madness and just go. And that's exactly what we did.
Feel nice and cathartic, just taking it, cutting it out.
Yeah, I mean, some of the actors were upset because you're cutting, and Ellie was particularly good in the car scene as well, and that was the scene she was most looking forward to see. And you go, you're never going to see it. I didn't even edit it. I didn't even put it together. So yeah, but you've got to make sacrifices. I think.
So not even a deleted scene on the Blu-ray.
No, not even. I think if I'd edited everything we shot, we'd have had a 2.5 hour movie.
Obviously, as I said, we had the screening last month, well packed at a secret location. Is it still a secret location?
Oh, yeah. We can't talk about it.
No, fair enough. And so, yeah, the film is out there. What's the plan for the film at the moment then? Are we talking festivals? Are we talking screeners? What is the plan?
That's a complicated question. We have our own Blu-ray out.
Oh,
it is beautiful. It's got the soundtrack in it, right? We still got quite a few left.
There we go. We'll drop links down below. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But the plan is to do festivals. But currently it's out of my hands. The film's been signed with Devilworks, who are doing their their work, selling it and distributing it.
So they're acting as sales agent and distributors, is that right?
If I understand rightly what they're trying to do, yes, they're going to distribute on some territories and then try to sell for other territories. I can't say much about it, not because I don't want to, but because I don't know. So the film's going to be retitled Hollow. There's a new poster and a new trailer coming out soon. Trailer is very good. It's quite interesting.
Did you have any input into the trailer?
No, and that was the biggest lesson for me. I've worked on this. I've done everything on this. I've done the edit. I've done the cinematography. Everything. Right. I've had a hand in everything. And then essentially, you gotta let it go completely. And my way of dealing with that is to go, okay, now the film's been delivered. Delivery, we'll talk about at another time. What a pain in the ass it is. It's never stated enough what delivering a feature film, what a pain in the ass it actually is. But now the film's delivered, and my way of dealing with that's to go, right, you guys do what you have to do, and let me know when there's cash. And other than that, yeah. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up to get upset.
Talking about festivals, then, do you have much input into the festivals, or again, is that something Devilworks are doing as part of their?
So we submitted to a few festivals. Again, Devilworks have the final say in that, so I don't know how that's gonna play. Essentially, yeah, again, not my decision. My strategy would be to play in every festival we can because I want the film to be seen. But I think they want a different strategy.
The other question is about kind of sending it out to critics and everything along those lines. Again, is that something where Devilworks are taking the lead, or is that something you've been able to do and kind of get it out there to?
We were able to get a few reviews from some very interesting people actually. Anton being one of them for
Projected Figures.
Brilliant writer. Did a really good review of it, which used some very, very exciting superlatives for me, comparing it to the final scene of Texas Chainsaw. So I was like, okay, this is good.
What I loved about that review is, for me, it's one of those ones where, and again, this is me speaking for you, so you might feel differently. Yeah. But as far as an audience member, it was like, yes, that is exactly what I got from the film as well. So it's great when a critic or a journalist really seems to kind of appreciate what you were going for, and that definitely seemed to be the...
And also it's not a patronizing review, because it's a guy who saw the film and he took it as is, as a film. He didn't go, oh, you guys are cute doing your little £5,000 film, well done. He just judged it the way that he would judge everything else, and you still come out on top. And you still come out with yeah, this is great. I would recommend you watch this. And it's the same for Dark Eyes of London. He had some comments. It wasn't a perfect review, but it was still a great review from someone who's seen thousands and thousands of films, who's saying, wow, do you know what, guys, this is really impressive. There's something really interesting going on here. This is bold. This is new. And you go, yeah, okay, that's good to know that someone understands, because part of the experience that we have as well is the things that nobody ever talks about, because we're very keen to share our successes, but we're not so keen to share all the rejections that we get. So you're on social media, you're always under the impression that every filmmaker only gets success all the time. And I'm pretty sure that they don't, because I know that they don't, because I don't, right? I got rejected before we even got to Devilworks. I got rejected by 2 different sales agents. We were accepted by 3. We picked Devilworks, but also festivals that it's not that they don't like your film, but it just doesn't, it just doesn't work with what they want. They want bigger films. They want to put bums on seats. There's always a political aspect to festival selection, because you want to cater to bring people to see films. And Wyvern Hill, as great as it can be for some people or not, they might hate it, but it's not gonna be a film that people will go, wow, you know what? Yeah, this is the film that's worth going to this festival for, because they don't even know it exists.
You've survived. You've made your first feature film. it's now in the hands of sales agents / distributors. What's next? What are you guys already planning a follow-up feature?
Yeah, we've got multiple projects. Yeah, in fact, there's too many projects because we don't know where to start at this stage. We have a horror anthology that we want to make, that we are titling Tales from the Archivist at the moment. And on a very different note, there's a road movie set in Wales that we also want to make, that we've had, in the pipelines for actually since Portraits, because I remember talking to you about it in Cardiff. And the other project we have that's quite exciting, it's a post-apocalyptic samurai British film. So why not? There's all sorts of things that are going on. But definitely there's going to be another feature, whatever happens. We're just sort of seeing where we land with Wyvern Hill and then launching the next one.
Excellent. Okay, and if people want to follow you and get more information and order the Blu-ray, where can they go?
So they can either send me a friend request, come on my page, and I welcome most people on my page, or they can go and follow the Wyvern Hill page, Wyvern Hill feature film page on Facebook.
And Jonathan, would you do us the favor of, say, in about a year's time, when the film's out there and everything, rejoining us on the show, and we can talk about the release and your feelings about it and all of that?
Absolutely. I know that Devilworks will start communicating about it. I think there's some things ready for the end of this year, so hopefully.
I think it's important that all indie film supporters should definitely deal with Jonathan directly and get the original Wyvern Hill with the amazing poster in the background there as well. The original poster.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Very limited release, so there's only going to be 200 printed ever, with the soundtrack, with the film, with some short films, with some extras. It looks beautiful. I'll show it again because I'm like that. There you go. Oh, look at that.
What are the shorts that are on there? We've got Portraits.
But Portraits and Santa Baby. They were the ones that were more in line with the film, because The Pit was a bit more metal in a sense, and Dirt was literally like a crazy action film.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, Jonathan, thank you very much, and we will catch up with you in at least a year.